All right, hey everybody, I'm Christine Morel with Music Hustler. Today we're going to be talking about something really awesome here. We're going to be talking about Spotify playlisting, pros, cons, what to expect. I'm here with Omari. He is an expert in this area. Omari has worked with different artists signed to major record labels, including Spinning Records, Capitol Records. They've promoted more than 15,000 artists around the world and gotten more than 1 billion impressions on people's music across multiple platforms. So we're going to have a great time talking today. Omari, thank you so much for joining me.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So I have some really, basic questions, and then probably some more in-depth questions that I even myself, because I'm not an expert in this area. So a lot of these questions I'm even asking for me to understand, as a musician for myself. So just starting off, for everyone that's watching, what is Spotify playlisting? Why, what's beneficial about it? Why would an artist even care? Like what's, because there's a big hype around it.
So Spotify playlisting means that people on Spotify, I can make a playlist on Spotify, you can make a playlist on Spotify, and different people can follow that playlist. And people will make hip hop playlists or workout playlists or rock playlist or country music playlist. And what happened is Spotify owns their own playlist on the platform. So Spotify has their own playlist that their staff curates. And then there's all these independent playlisters out there, such as bloggers or influencers or somebody who just made a playlist and it has a lot of like search engine traffic. All of those people, those independent ones, can listen to music and decide if they want to take other indie artists and put them on their playlist. So people started to notice this and they started to pitch their music to all these different playlisters. But the problem is a lot of them either wanted money to be placed, or they just get so many submissions that it just makes sense that they need to start taking some money to listen to these submissions because they're getting hundreds a week. And there's no way possible you can sit there for free and just listen to hundreds of submissions, especially if you got a job and all these other things. So people like myself developed systems to where playlisters can listen to music and have a way of getting paid and compensated for listening to that music. And then if they like some of those songs that they listen to, they get to place them on their playlist. And then the whole playlisting happens where there's companies such as myself and some others that will have an organized system for bringing in thousands of songs per month and getting them to the right playlisters based on how many playlists. Like if you order a bigger package, we'll pitch you to more playlists. If you order a smaller package, you get pitched to less playlists. And that's how the whole playlisting business sort of developed.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned, because I know that, like you said, Spotify has their own curated playlists. And some people think, hey, if Spotify, rejects my entry, then that means I can't get on Spotify playlists. But you just said that there's plenty of people just like yourself or myself, anybody can make these Spotify playlists. And if they have lots of followers, then they get to choose, if they have lots of traffic, as they choose other artists coming on, those artists get the benefit of being in a playlist that's already getting a lot of traffic. So I think that that's great. And so the real benefits to playlisting or to getting your music on playlisting, on certain playlists, what I'm understanding is if someone's already getting like 1,000 plays a day or 500 plays a day or a playlist, if they add your music into that playlist, now their listeners are automatically going to get exposed to your music. Is that kind of how that works?
Yeah. So a certain percentage of, if a playlist has 1,000 followers, obviously not every single follower is playing every single playlist they have every single day, but a percentage of them are going to listen to your song in that playlist. Maybe the playlist has like 50 songs, maybe it has 100 songs, something like that. And some people who are following that playlist will listen to your music. Most of the time we see that they will save a song. If they like it, they'll just hit the little heart button or the little thumbs up button, whatever they have. If they have the free version or the premium Spotify version. And then that will save it to their library. And if if they don't like your song, they might just skip it. So they might listen to like 30 seconds, 45 seconds or whatever, and just skip on to the next one. And then if they really, really like your song, maybe they'll follow you on Spotify or, check you out on other social medias. But we tend to see more saves than anything that result from playlisting.
Okay, got you. Now, before an artist even starts to, try to get their music on playlists, and we're going to get into that process here in a minute, but what should someone have in place before they even think about going there? Are there like a few things that they should kind of have in order before they even kind of start that process?
Yes, you should definitely have your music mixed and mastered. Don't just think that you're going to make one song and you've never made a song before and you're just going to submit it to a company like ours and it's just going to blow up without it being professional quality. So definitely, this is putting your music out there to real people. So you're going to get, like, if you don't get a lot of saves the first time and you're placed on the exact genre that you think your music is, it's just telling you, hey, maybe this song needs some work, or maybe, I need to go back to the drawing board, start writing better lyrics, work on my vocals, work on my quality, all that stuff. The other thing I would say artists need to work on, besides, the quality of the music and all that, is their monetization structure or their expectations of what's going to happen. A lot of times artists will think that if I spend $50 on this promotion or $100, then I'm supposed to make 100 back from the streaming revenue that happens. The 0.00437 cents that Spotify pays me per stream is supposed to make all my advertising money back. That is not how marketing and advertising works. That's akin to me saying, if I have Google display ads for my website, that any Google display revenue I get is supposed to pay for the ads money that I spend on Google or Facebook. Just doesn't work like that. So what artists need to have is their sales funnel set up on their website. You need to have a website, first of all, your sales funnel set up on your website, your merch, your product lines, songwriting services, show tickets, reaching out to sponsors. The new thing that we've been talking about heavily on our show, on our podcast and YouTube channel, is having your own cryptocurrency. So artists can now, they're called creator coins or social tokens. Artists can have their own digital economies, which is where the whole NFT thing comes in, and having your own creator coin. And you can then have a store of value and something to do e-commerce with your own community. And that's like futuristically speaking, but that's going to be, I mean, we're giving it about a year or two until people really start to grasp that. But that's probably the thing that is going to blow a lot of artists up, because you don't necessarily have to sell as much as long as you have traction going behind you. If you look at like Apple stock, their market cap is far above the amount of annual sales that they have. Now they get a bunch of sales, but the market cap, meaning like the traction or momentum behind you, like people think it's valued at maybe 10x of the sales for the year. So just getting, I won't go too deep into it, but that's something, monetization, like recognizing where monetization in music is going, is what you need to start to think about before just like throwing money into marketing. Like have a structure in place to be able to get the money back. And just because you have that structure doesn't mean it's going to work perfectly the first time. You have to do several iterations to get a system running.
Right. I think it's great that you touched on that subject too, because that's something that we talk about a lot, in my community, where I talk to people and I go, okay, so why are you struggling? And they're like, well, I don't know. I have my music on Spotify, I have my music on Apple Music, and I'm like, okay, well, what else you got? And I'm like, well, that's it. I'm like, this is why you're broke. It doesn't matter, if you're the most amazing artist on the planet, if there's nothing for, your fans that are liking your music to buy, or there's nothing for them to purchase from you, like you were talking about merchandise, having their sales funnel where they're maybe selling bundles of like posters or membership platforms, a Patreon, those types of things. Because what people don't understand is, like you said, the 0.0047 cents, right? A click,
Yeah,
or
something
a
like that.
listen, something like that. You can't make a living off that unless somehow, miraculously you didn't have to spend money on advertising and you're getting millions of plays, and what are the chances of that? So like you said, just having a way for you to get your money back, having a website where you're actually selling, whether it be, your digital downloads, but on top of that, having a sales funnel and, lots of different offers, whatever that be, whether it be membership platforms or live streaming, or, different opportunities to buy merchandise, are very important, because the money that you get back in, you can put back into your,
Yep.
marketing and advertising. And that's what you want. You want this full circle, thing where you're profiting, and you don't just go, oh, I have a $200, marketing budget. And then once it's gone, that's it. I have
Yep.
listened on my song. And then that's the end of that, which is not, which is not a good business plan, I don't think. Now, I've looked at different Spotify playlists, and I always get a bunch of questions from people about this. And they go, I reached out to these Spotify playlists, and, they want to charge me. And, does that mean it's a scam? And like you said, it's not. Sometimes they're getting hundreds of submissions a day. That's the only reason that's the only way they can justify spending the time to listen. But on the other hand, there's some Spotify playlists that are like fake Spotify playlists and those types of things. How do you spot, the real ones from the fake ones? Are there certain things that you look for?
Yeah. So I'll go over them briefly. We do have a video up on our YouTube that goes into like more in depth.
Awesome.
I think it's like 7 signs to spot them. But I'll tell you a few. The first one you want to look for, if you visit their profile on Spotify, is if every single playlist they have, let's say they have like 10 playlists, and all of them have like exactly 49,000 followers or 50,000 followers. That's just one sign that, all right, that doesn't naturally happen, that like every single playlist has the same exact amount of followers. So you know that those are probably botted. Second sign would be that if you go to a website called spotsontrack.com, you can actually look through the follower graphs of different playlists and see if there's any like big spikes in followers. So let's say one day it has 27,000, and then the next day 27,000, next day 27,000, and then all of a sudden it has like 40,000, and then it just stays at 40,000. That's probably a bad sign, because yeah, they could have maybe did like some big advertising budget, but that's typically going to lead to a more gradual growth than just like a big spike and a stop. So that's another sign to watch out for. Third sign that I'll give is if you see different artists on that playlist all have the majority of their plays coming from select locations, it's a bad sign. So for example, let's say that you are on Spotify, you're on the Spotify desktop app, and you go look at an artist that's on a playlist. And when you look at their monthly listeners, like the top 5 cities that they're getting plays from, if it says like Buffalo, New York, this is one of those cities that bot playlisters like to just, for some reason, they picked Buffalo, New York out of all of them, and it'll be a disproportionate amount of plays coming from Buffalo, New York that it should be. So it'll be like they run a campaign, and it'll only be like 15 cities or like 10 cities that make up all the plays in their campaign. And then they'll have these random cities that are making up far too much of the monthly listeners from the playlist. So I know that's a little bit, it might be easier for people to see that on paper, to see what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But If there's a disproportionate amount of plays from smaller cities consistently, like always from this playlist, that's typically a bad playlist to be on there. And then the last one is just if there's like 10 followers on a playlist, but you somehow get thousands of streams, that's pretty easy to spot that's a bad playlist. So
Right.
those are just, I think I named four or five on there, but we go over, it's a full 7 on that video, and I go into like showing you how to look at it through the Spotify and all that stuff. So yeah, there's some bad actors out there, but the more you research, the more you'll be able to find those. And when you go with a company, usually that company is supposed to vet the playlist and make sure that no bad actors are in there. That way you don't have to spend hours going through all the playlists to see, which one's good, which one's not.
Right. Right. I don't know, some of those, like you said, hey, if there's only 10 followers and you have 1,000 plays, pretty obvious, a few of those things. But I know that I know we've even talked about this, about what your company does with, vetting out good Spotify playlists, making sure that they're real legitimate plays, making sure it's not fake followers, it's not bots. Because I know a lot of people reach out to me, they're like, I met this guy, he said if I just give him $10, 100,000 people are going to listen to my music. And I'm like, what world are you living on? You think $10 is going to get you 100,000 real listeners, now, if and I want to get into that, but first, if someone was trying to do this on their own, if they were trying to get on Spotify playlists, what do they normally do? Are they just, how do they reach out? How do they do this if they were trying to do it, get their music on Spotify playlists by themselves? And is that even doable?
Yeah, it is. You can reach out to people on Facebook. What happens most of the time is that if you go on Spotify, sometimes the name of the playlister will be the same as their name on Facebook or Instagram, so you can try to find them that way, and then give them a message of, hey, here's my music, or I think this would be perfect for your playlist, and I've been following your playlist and all this stuff. And sometimes, a very small percent of the time, to be honest, they might respond to you and they might put it on the playlist for free. 90% of the time, that's not going to happen. They're going to have a price sheet because they get a bunch of submissions, and they're going to say, here's my price sheet for advertising the music. It's not impossible to get on it. Sometimes they might have an email list within their description on their playlist on Spotify too. So if you're searching for, let's go with the country music one, say you're a country music artist and you're searching all these country music playlists on Spotify, and you're doing all your pitches to these playlists, maybe a couple of them take your song, but it's not really scalable. So you can do that. You might get some extra plays, but the downside is you spend a lot of time, and most of the time you're going to get a price sheet anyway. So, right. Yeah.
And I will say I had done a little bit experimenting on my own. I had gone onto, Spotify and kind of looked at playlists, and occasionally, like you said, it might have, their name might match on Facebook, or sometimes there's even an email. Hey, if you want to reach out about, getting your music on here or whatnot. That's like hours and hours of work, to possibly get on a Spotify playlist, and then to find, to do research and find out if it's even real, to check those numbers, like you said, to see if everything looks legitimate, to make sure it's not a fake Spotify playlist with fake listeners, and then to only be sent a price sheet anyway and still have to pay them. So kind of what I found was, I always tell everyone, you're either going to spend your time or your money, on whatever it is, wherever you want to get results. And usually if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to spend a lot more time, where sometimes it's just better to get someone who's already done that. And I know that with your company, I know you guys have already checked out these, Spotify playlists, like you said. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about. Are there any other vetting processes that you go through to make sure that these Spotify playlists, are legitimate? You mentioned a few. Do you tend to, pair, certain genres together? How do you choose, just kind of, maybe I'm asking a few different questions, but how do you find, the great Spotify playlist? And then do you, depending on the genre of the artist, do you then pair it with certain Spotify playlists? How does that work?
Yeah, that first step, how we find them. So, geez, this is probably 3, 4, 5 years ago. I was doing all the Facebooking and email messaging and telling them, hey, we got this network that we're building. You should come join the network, and giving them the pitch of, you get hundreds of submissions anyway. Just join our system. It's much more efficient. Like, you'll know that the songs are already vetted, and you can just listen to these songs, and you'll know that there's a budget behind these songs, so that you can spend your time wisely. That was the pitch to them. And, hundreds of them were like, oh yeah, that makes a lot more sense. So they joined the network. Nowadays, it's mostly we get submissions. So playlisters will just know that we have a company and we have a network, and we get a bunch of orders, and we have a good system going, where they get to listen to good songs and artists get to reach good playlisters. So win-win for everybody. And that's primarily how it grows as well. And then we also have advertisements. One of the best ways to know if a playlist is good, and is scalable for us and for the artist, is if the playlister is running ads to the list. So we'll have lists that we run ads to for, like, if they're our list, or if they're like playlisters list. If they want advertisements for their own list, we'll run some ads for them, because we do Facebook and Instagram ads too. And we've run ads for like hundreds of playlists by this point. So that is one of the most consistent ways to know, like, these are 100% real, because obviously we spend an ad budget on them on Instagram. We do mostly Instagram for the playlisting ads versus Facebook. But yeah, that's the ways that we vet those playlists. And then the follow-up to that question is pairing them with the list. So we have different genres and moods listed when we give these songs to the playlisters. So they'll already know, like, if I have chill playlists, then I'll go listen to the chill songs, or maybe like some R&B songs, and acoustic songs, all that stuff. I can listen to those. If we don't think that their list is a good fit, like, what happens is the song comes in, and a playlister has to request that song from us for it to go on their list. So we'll cross-check the request, and then if we think it's a good fit, we'll assign it to them, and they get to put that song on their list. If we don't think it's a good fit, then we'll just say, not this one. We'll deny the request, and they can just, look through the rest of the request.
That's great. That's great. So people know that their music's getting placed where the listeners are relevant. It's not like a country song getting placed on like a hip hop playlist where, they're probably not going to get any fans from, that list or whatnot. So that's great. I was really curious about that and how you guys chose, because I've actually used your services as well. And I always recommend it, to other people. From even my own experience, like I said, reaching out to playlisters, it does take time. It's possible for people to do it themselves, but man, the time that you end up putting into it, where people could be focusing on creating their own music, or, shooting music videos, or, promoting it other ways. I think it's great that you guys provide that list. And I didn't know that you did that. I think that that's fantastic about how you reached out to the Spotify playlists originally to put together this network of playlisters that all work together. So that's awesome. So is there anything else that you would share, for everyone watching? Omari's like the go-to, company, Omari MC. They take artists, if you are a singer, musician, band, you have music that you want to get, playlisted. And they actually do all the work for you to save that time. So I'm going to have links below where they can actually use your services. And I know you do a lot more besides even Spotify playlisting. But before you go, is there anything else that you would share with other people on advice on promoting their music on Spotify that you feel like would be good to share?
For Spotify specifically, this might seem counterintuitive, but we say it because we want artists to spend their money wisely. Uh, we typically recommend people don't spend more than like 20% to 25% of your marketing budget towards Spotify playlisting. We also do like Facebook and Instagram ads, YouTube promotion, TikTok promotion. And the reason we do all those, some people might just do playlisting, like if you go to other companies, but we do all those because we know like you need a holistic approach if you want to have success. And if you just spend all your money on the playlisting, that's not really geared towards like the website side of your business, because you're not sending the traffic directly to your website like you will with Facebook and Instagram. But you do need to have at least some playlisting most of the time so that it's not a ghost town on your Spotify, because these are social proof numbers. They can aid in other sales. Like it all works together when you're doing marketing. So that's what I'd say. Like have that realistic expectation of you're probably not going to make all your money back just from the Spotify streams. I need to have my other things going on, and then I can use some of these Spotify streams as part of my revenue. But also, like if I have 100,000 streams on a song, that's a good selling point to get people over to other aspects of my business. So it all works together. Think a little bit more. I know I'm talking to artists here, but thinking a little bit more like a business person does not mean you're evil, and there's not like a conflict between business and your music side. Like they're supposed to work together, especially with the age of the advertising being democratized and everybody can use ads now. You don't have to wait for the TV doorman to tell you can put your ad on TV and all this stuff. Like you can just go do it now. So take advantage of it while you can. And yeah, that would be my advice.
Awesome. Thank you for covering that. And for everyone watching, we're going to have links to his website and his services below, because they actually do, like he said, they do cover just kind of everything. And I think really the word that I like is that whole omnipresence, being present on multiple social media platforms, not just Spotify. I think that people have, geared towards like Spotify is the most important thing. And it's like, no, there's many elements that all work together. And when you're omnipresent on all of those, you can start to create a, profitable music business. And like you said, I know sometimes in the arts, people go, no, like, I don't care about making money. I just care about the art. Well, if you don't care about making money, you can't continue to make art because it's not sustainable. You're gonna have to go work another job to spend money on your art. And we don't want that. If you're good at what you do, it's more than possible to actually make money, actually with your music and online. So I think that that's awesome that you're able to cover all of those services and everything. So awesome. And Omari also has some really incredible other tutorials that you guys can watch. I'll have all the links below. So I think this was great. Thank you so much for covering all of that content, Omari. Really appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. For everyone wanting to check out Omari and his service, make sure to check the link below. And looking forward to seeing you guys on the next one.